All right, welcome to your 4.3 lesson. We're going to start talking about congruent parts of triangles on congruent triangles. The first warm-up right here, I need you guys to do on your own. It's going to be warm-up based on previous lessons. And then we'll start talking about your different congruent polygons. Go ahead and read through this on your own, seeing how things are going to look once we start getting into two-column proofs. And we'll go ahead and start looking at corresponding parts. We have that triangle ABC and is congruent to triangle DEF. We need to complete all of these following statements here. So what we have to do is we have to use the name of the triangle to find corresponding parts. We need to remember that corresponding means matching. So the way we can look at this, if we start off with our angles, over here we want to find which angle is congruent to angle A. Well, if you look in the name here, triangle ABC and triangle DEF, A is the first letter here, so it's going to correspond with the first letter in the second triangle. So angle A will be congruent to angle D. Next, we look at the second letter, letter B. The second letter in the other triangle is E. So angle B will correspond and match with angle E. Lastly here, the last letter in the triangle and the last angle is angle C, and the last letter in the other triangles is F, so angle C will correspond with angle F. Now the triangles are not always positioned like this in the same position, okay? So that's why you have to rely on the name to figure out which vertices match, which angles match, okay? And that's how we name our triangles. So let's talk about our segments, which are going to be the sides of our triangle. First thing we have here is going to be segment AB. So we're looking at side AB right here. We'll look in the name. A and B are the first two letters in the first name, so they're going to correspond with the first two letters in the second triangle's name, and it's going to correspond with DE. Okay, so these will be congruent. So AB is going to match with DE. Now, as we've talked about segments, usually with segments you can name them, you can take the 2 points, the end points, and put them in whatever order you want. But when we are looking at corresponding parts of congruent triangles, you have to focus on the order. You cannot switch the order up. If I said angle AB, A corresponds with D, so D has to come first. B corresponds with E, so E has to come second. You cannot say segment AB and segment ED. It does not work that way. You have to follow the same order that the names are. So the next one we have is segment BC, and we see here that BC are the last two letters in the name. So BC right here is going to correspond with the last two letters in the second triangle's name, EF, following that order. Can't say FE. So these two sides will correspond, and they will be congruent. Lastly, we have segment AC, and if you notice, A and C are the outer two letters of the triangle's name. So AC down here is going to correspond with the outer two letters of the other triangle, DF, right here. So these two sides will correspond, and they will be congruent on congruent triangles. So DF. Now, had I decided to say segment CA, we would have said segment FD. Okay, always follow the order. And this kind of helps you out here. We have triangle CAB. We need to figure out well, we know that it's going to be congruent with the other triangle, but we've mixed the letters around. So this helps you guys see the order matters here. We want to put our triangle symbol. It's going to be congruent to, well, the first letter here is C, and we look up here and say C corresponded with F. So F is going to go first. Then we see that A is the second letter. So we come up here and say, okay, A corresponds with D. So the second letter here will be D. And then lastly, our last one left, B corresponded with E. So we have several ways we can name the triangles. You have to focus very carefully on that order. Okay? The next problem down here, they don't have triangles, so we're going to draw them. It's nice when you get to draw them because you can set them up in the same position like up here on number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a couple triangles here. The first one is triangle XYZ, so I'm just going to go around here, X, Y, and Z. The second triangle is WMN. Okay? So now we're going to take a look at naming these triangles in a different order. We need to remember the first letter of each triangle is going to correspond together, and they have to stay in the same position in the name. So X right here is going to correspond with angle W. Then angle Y is going to correspond with angle M. And angle Z is going to correspond with angle N. So now we look at the different positions and we say, okay, this is asking us, according to the order that these letters have been put in, are these true or false? So they have to match, just like this one did up here. So the first thing we'll take a look at is the first triangle. We have triangle YZA. So Y I had in green, Z I had in purple, and X I had in pink. That's why I like using the different colors, okay? Now I could go to the next one and say, okay, W, triangle WMN, I've got W was pink, M was green, and N was purple. Now we look at both these and say, do these colors match? They go in the same order. Like up here it went pink, green, purple on both of them. Here we got green, purple, pink. Now we have pink, green, purple. They don't match. They don't go in the same order here. Okay? So we're going to say false. This is not a correct way of writing that these two triangles are congruent. All right? Next, we have triangle ZXY. So let's check this out. Z I had in purple, X I had in pink, Y I had in green. So we can take a look at the next order. N, let's see, N I had up here, N I had in purple, W I had in pink, and M was in green. So I take a look and say, do the color orders matter, or do they match? I have purple, pink, green, purple, pink, green. Perfect. This is true. These two right here, do on your own. Okay? Now let's take a look at, we're going to go on to have another problem here where we actually don't have triangles because it works with all polygons. Okay? The corresponding parts here. So we are shown these polygons are congruent. We're going to show that they're congruent by identifying all congruent corresponding parts. And we're going to write each statement, each congruent statement. So I'm going to do the first segment and the first angle with you, and you're going to do the other 3 segments and the other 3 angles and check in class to see if you were correct. So right here, I have a 1 tick mark. Okay, so I'm going to look at this 1 tick mark, and I'm going to call the segment PQ. So I have segment PQ, and I'm going to say it is congruent. I look at the other tick mark. Now, how do I know whether it's GF or FG? Well, here I went from P to Q. I went from the 1 arc angle to the 2 arc angle. So here I need to do the same thing. I need to go from the 1 arc angle of G to the 2 mark angle to F. So we have to go G, segment GF. Okay? You are going to do the other 3. Follow what I just did, from how many arcs to how many arcs. Go in that order. Okay? The next thing, we'll go ahead and take a look at the first set of angles. I'm going to go ahead and go to my 1 arc angle right here, angle P. I'm going to say that angle P is congruent to, look on the other one, where's my 1 arc? Right here at angle G. So you will complete the other 3 congruent angle statements, and go over it in class later. Okay? Next, on number 4, we need to start doing some algebra. We need to start actually solving for some stuff. So here we're going to draw our triangle dog. Here's my triangle D-O-G. And I'm also going to have my triangle cat, C-A-T. Okay, remember which letters go with what. All right? Here, I'm told that the length of DO, remember we don't have that segment bar over anymore because we're talking about measurements, the length of DO is 3x plus 1. So if we look over here at DO, side DO, we have 3x plus 1. I am told that OG right here is 12. So I'm going to go find OG over here, and this is 12. Then I am told that DG is 16. So over here, DG, we have 16. I'm given one more statement. I'm given AT. Now, because I'm using colors, what I want to do is I want to figure out which side from triangle dog does AT correspond with on triangle cat. So if I look at AT, I'm looking at the last 2 letters here, and the last 2 letters of triangle DOG is OG. So I know that OG is going to correspond with AT. So these will end up being congruent. So then I could fill in 2x plus 6. All right? They want us to find the length of DO over here. Okay? So we have to solve for x, and then we have to plug back in. Okay, to use our substitution property and plug back in. So, how are we going to solve for x? Well, look at your sides, okay? If I look, okay, I see a 3x plus 1 over here. Well, DO right here corresponds with CA. CA doesn't have anything for me to set it equal to, so I can't use that. So if I look over here at DG, my 2 outer letters, I have a 16. They will correspond with CT, but CT doesn't have anything either. Luckily, I have right here OG and AT measurements, so I can set those equal to each other. So I can set 2x plus 6 equal to 12, because these correspond and they are congruent. We'll go through, solve for x. I don't know why I'm dividing by 3, because I'm giving you the answer there. Divide by 2 on each side. X is going to equal 3. But I wanted to find OG over here. I'm sorry, DO over here. So now what I need to do is I need to take the fact DO is equal to 2x, is equal to 3x plus 1. So I need to take this and I need to do a substitution. And I need to now say 3 times, well, what was x? It was 3. So I'm going to substitute it in and then add that 1. And we wind up with the length of DO is 10. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1. And there, we're done. Okay? The next one, I'm going to do part of it. I'm going to help you set up because this one gets a little bit more tricky here. Okay, first we need to remember our corresponding parts. Here I'm looking to find x and y, so I'm going to find where x and y are. X, I see x over here at side FE, okay? So side FE right here, FE will correspond with BC, the last 2 letters. The problem is I cannot solve for x because I have this y here. So I've got to figure out how to get rid of, I've got to solve for y using angle F so that I can plug it in. I can't solve for x if there's another variable there. So let's take a look. We have 8y minus 5 in angle F. And as we see over here, angle F is the middle letter. It corresponds with angle B. So we can go ahead and solve for y first. So we have angle B is congruent to angle F. So we'll go ahead and solve through. 99 degrees was angle B. It is equal to 8y minus 5. We'll go through our steps of solving for y. Okay, add. Now we're going to divide both sides. And y is going to end up coming out to equal 13. Well, remember, we need to find x also. So we've only found half of what we need to find. So to find x, we remember BC and FE are equal. The measurements are equal. So if segment BC is congruent to segment FE, what we can do is we can take segment BC, the length of BC is 38.4, set that equal to FE. Now, FE had that y, but we know what y is now. So we're going to take out the y, substitute in what y is equal to. Okay? And this is where I'm going to stop. You're going to substitute it in and then finish your step solving for x, and we'll go over it in class.